We all have a purpose. We all have a destiny. We all have rooms to walk into and tables to sit at and contracts to sign. We all have an assignment to advance the human race, to move a generation forward, to leave a legacy. One of the things I've discovered that people just really don't accept is the fact that at some point in your life, you are going to come to the edge of a thing. And when you get there, it's called the precipice. When you get there, you can either stand there and die, or you can take the leap of faith. You don't have the luxury of staying where you are. You've been here long enough. And the only way you're going to get out of this prison that you've made yourself is if you learn the art of self-discipline. You got two options in this life. You can do what is meaningful, something that is purposeful, what makes you come alive. Or you can sit back and be miserable and be afraid to take the leap of faith. You say, Marcus, I'm afraid to take the leap of faith. I'm afraid to take action. I'm afraid to move forward. You should be terrified to stay where you are. You got to take action. You got to take a leap of faith. Either you die where you are standing, or you make a decision to move forward. We live in a generation and in a society where there is a very poor moral compass. I've got a moral obligation to fulfill a destiny, to punch through targets, to execute the assignment, to manifest everything I believe I'm destined to have. I have a moral obligation. There are people who are attached to me. There is a price to pay when you say no to destiny. It's time to pursue what is meaningful. It is time to pursue what is purposeful. And it's going to require sacrifice. And it's going to hurt. But you'll be more miserable if you stay where you are and don't continue to move forward and don't advance and don't create and don't evolve. Now, a lot of people talk about discipline, but they don't hardly define it. It's a very simple definition. It simply means to train somebody to obey a set of rules. Training comes with rewards, but training also comes with the rod of correction. When I do well and I train hard, I win and I get a trophy, and that's great. But nothing compares to the process. Nothing compares to the practice, the training. That is where champions are made. It's in the dark hours. It's behind the scenes. It's when nobody's paying attention. It's when nobody believes. It's when everybody thinks you're not the one. There are generations of people trapped in the fetters of normalcy and mediocrity. And all of a sudden, every 100 years or so in a bloodline, if you will, the one shows up. If you believe you are the one that finally understands the weight of the future and the price required to fulfill that future. It's action protected. It's voice activated. There's some things you gotta say. There's some things you gotta do. There's some choices you have to make. There are some decisions that are sitting at your table. There are some parameters that you're gonna have to set up. There's some boundaries that must be established. There's some prices you gotta pay. There's some things and some people you gotta let go of. There's some places you can't go anymore. There's some sleepless nights you have to endure. There is some insomnia involved in greatness. You may not be able to eat for a few days. You may lose sleep. How you think is going to determine your vantage point. Many of you listening to me, even now, you're under this impression, this false narrative, this notion that discipline is a chore. No. Discipline is a privilege. It is a privilege. It is a privilege to train. It is a privilege to be taught. It is a privilege to be coached. It is a privilege to be programmed to win, to operate under a government of champions. It is a privilege. I need you to get it out of your mind that discipline and training is a chore. It is not a chore. It is the trait of a champion. If you are going to win, if you're going to accomplish it, I don't care what room you are called to, every arena that you step in, every field that you walk on, every court, every arena, every boardroom, every person, every place, every stage of destiny requires another measure of discipline. I got places that I want to go right now. I got things that I've been called to do, people I know I got to meet, and this version of myself will not make it. I don't want to be a day late in realizing when I'm functioning in the outdated version of me. And this is when the frustration settles in and the anxiety and the trauma and the insomnia, when we are not willing to accept the fact that this version of ourselves is no longer good enough to accomplish the things that we've been called to do. I realize, I gotta come up. Change is not coming to me. Change is coming from me. I gotta become more disciplined. My communication has to change. My perspective has to shift. How in the world are you gonna walk into these new opportunities, meet new people, make connections, change the world to some degree, starting in your family, in your city? You got to see stages everywhere, and every stage requires another measure of discipline. Discipline is realizing that I don't need a resource, that I don't need a handout. I need a new skill set. I need a new mindset. I don't want a handout. I don't need a favor. I don't need you to believe in me. I don't need you to see me. I don't need you to like me. I don't need you to understand me. I understand me. I like me. I love me. I'm working on me. I'm training myself. I'm conditioning myself. You can love me, hate me, like me, fear me. It doesn't matter. I will fulfill my destiny. Many of you are just flat out captives to your desires. Your subconscious mind is running the show. Your body tells you what to do, where to go, what to eat, who to hang with. You keep living life sensually and not intentionally. You are not present, you are not engaged, you are not connected. This is a call. This is an invitation into a paradigm shift. It's your time. It's your turn. Everything's about to change.